Ele tinha pouco mais de 20 anos quando decidiu, na garagem de casa, concentrar em uma só placa de circuito todos os componentes que formavam os poderosos e caros computadores da época, os chamados mainframes, que ocupavam andares inteiros nas poucas companhias que tinham dinheiro para pagar por eles. Junto com um amigo, ele fundou uma empresa que revolucionou a forma como conhecemos e usamos os computadores e continua revolucionando. O nome desse amigo? Steve Jobs. A empresa? A Apple. Ele é Steve Wozniak, o Woz. O Espaço Aberto Ciência e Tecnologia de hoje traz uma entrevista com um dos geeks mais famosos e queridos do planeta que esteve em São Paulo para participar da Campus Party. O nosso programa está começando.
I'm Steve Wozniak. I co-founded Apple Computer. If I can apply the same genius to Dancing with the Stars, I think I can do well in this competition.
Ele cresceu estimulado pelo pai engenheiro projetista de foguetes. Aos 11 anos, era um dos mais jovens radioamadores do mundo. E 2 anos depois mostrou em uma feira de ciências uma máquina capaz de somar e subtrair. Foi com este espírito aguçado que no início da década de 70, o jovem Steve Wozniak se uniu ao colega de faculdade Steve Jobs. A parceria dos Steves gerou frutos que revolucionaram a história. Em 76, eles apresentavam ao mundo o primeiro computador pessoal. O Apple I era pouco mais que uma placa com os circuitos integrados, mas podia ser ligado a um teclado e a um monitor de TV, um avanço que mudaria o universo da tecnologia em uma época dominada por grandes computadores. Pois o prodígio Woz esteve no Brasil para participar da Campus Party e conversou com o Espaço Aberto Ciência e Tecnologia.
Woz, no Brasil, Bruno.
Woz, first of all, what has driven you when you invented the desktop computer?
I was driven by early goals in my life, a lot of which things happened by accident, that drove me to love in my heart was I was going to own a computer of my own someday. I would give up a house. I would not even own a house if I could have that computer. And so it just took a while as the prices of parts came down and down and down. Eventually, I spotted the formula to have my own computer that was useful and could do the work I wanted to do and could play games.
So it was something that you worked to make your personal life easier, more comfortable, and there was nothing related to a business project.
It wasn't so much like it had a positive outcome. It wasn't something you could say, here is why I did it. I just wanted to my whole life. Now, once I had the computer, I knew how to use it to do my work at Hewlett-Packard, where I was an engineer. And I also like to type in games, solve puzzles, do the sorts of things programmers can do. Finally, if you're a programmer, if you know how to program, and you have a machine that you can write programs in, for the rest of your life, the number of programs you can write is infinite.
And Woz, do you believe from your experience that it's still possible for young people to invent revolutionary hardwares nowadays, such difficult times? Or it's really impossible, which means that revolutionary hardwares, they need huge amounts of investments nowadays.
Most hardware has undergone incredible changes in our lifetime due to the cost of making little chips coming down and down and down, and everything that used to cost $1 million is on one chip that costs 25 cents. So it's more difficult to implement new things that have a big impact in life that are hardware in that electronic arena, in the computer arena. But software is still open. I mean, we just read 10 billion apps have been downloaded for the iPhone. A number of people can get out there and write apps for phones and programs for computers and automate their company's processes and all this and run network apparatus things and set up web pages for others. It's just unbelievably expanded.
So you really believe it's a matter of using your head?
People have a certain amount of creative desire to create things built into them. And a certain number of us want to create new things. We just want to play and find out new ways to make things better. And that number of people doesn't go down. It's just that how it comes out is maybe limited and channeled by the environment of the day. In today's environment, a lot of the creativity comes out in places like Facebook. I'm going to set up my appearance, how I look to the rest of the world, which videos I chose to show, and which songs I say that I'm interested in. So the people that put a lot of time that it means a lot to them are very, very creative in that sense. And even the game players, we all know that game playing develops your mind for strategies in life.
What is the key element for a successful business in our days? I mean, making a massive investment in technology or in people? What would your choice be?
That's a very difficult question to answer because words technology and people have many, many different layers of meaning. If you're going to start a company and you want your company to be successful, that usually means it's going to make money. But to a lot of us who are young and pioneers and creating the new stuff, we just want to change the world and we don't care how much money the company's in. We want to be known for having made a successful company that kind of goes on, changes things in a way that continues. And the trouble is, to have a successful company, you better have good people. The other people are the people who are going to use your product. I think you should put all the effort into understanding those people that are going to use your product, program it, build the hardware in ways that naturally come to human beings. The human must be more important than the technology. And most people would agree with that statement, and yet very, very few products, very few companies seem to follow that philosophy.
Em 1981, em pleno sucesso da Apple, Woz caiu pilotando seu avião e tratou a amnésia causada pelo acidente com muito videogame.
Hey, Steve, are you just getting here?
In 81, almost 30 years ago, you had a plane accident, you lost your memory, and after that shock, you decided to go back to university and leave Apple. Was that the most difficult period of your life, and in what way it has changed you, the way you are?
It was not a difficult period of my life. And first of all, I have set myself up with philosophy since I was 20 years old, inborn ways that I do things in life, that I'm not going to have grief and bad periods in life. Nothing could ever give me a bad period in life that would give normal people bad periods, or it would take an awful lot. I had already thought, you know, gosh, Apple is now large, it's got lots of different engineers in different capacities, and even if I weren't here, Apple can go on successfully. I had done my part. So when I came out of amnesia after 5 weeks, I just picked up the phone, called Steve Jobs, and I said, I'm going to go back and get my degree because this is my last chance. And it really was. 10 years later, it's the last chance to finish college.
In your biography, you say you learned not to give great credibility to what you read in the media. How to believe in what we see and in what we read in the internet? Do you think there should have to be any kind of control of quality?
I don't like the idea of controls, but I think there always has to be some. Let's call it regulation, if you will. Where do our freedoms come from? In the United States, our freedoms come from regulation. It's called the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And it says, basically, life will be run on these sort of rules. These are what Congress cannot do to impede things. But there's always limits. I mean, we have freedom of speech, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can't stimulate people to go to violence. There are still limits to free speech. I think that there should be stronger penalties when the media prints fabricated information and very incorrect information about individuals, and they know that it is. Take very negative slants, and they'll say, oh, by technical reading of the words, a lawyer can demonstrate that this is clearly by a spreadsheet okay and true, but it's really giving everybody an impression that's a lie.
Woz, you are co-founder of EFF, which is one of the most important net-censorship organizations. What are the biggest challenges for the internet now and in the future?
There are a lot of individual challenges on the internet, and usually it runs into the gamut of either the government or large companies trying to manipulate and regulate what users will get and see in their internet experience. And I'm for just, it should be totally open, it should be as free. When we first discovered the internet, it was, oh my God, I can get to anywhere in the world for the first time in my life at basically no cost. And I can actually share information with other people far away. I can put up my own websites. And now we're getting told that maybe people who pay money will be able to get their television channels to me a little bit faster than somebody who didn't want to pay the money. Let me choose. Let me say, I want all these TV shows, and great. If I can only see one at a time, let me choose, you know, which one gets the preference. No, the internet neutrality, it's called, but it goes deeper than net neutrality. And basically, I am on the internet, and you don't get in the way. You don't blockade. You don't focus and become a content provider and decide what I'm going to get to on the internet.
Are you a big fan of convenience in terms of technology on the market? And if so, would you say convenience is the key element of Apple's success?
Apple got a reputation for making easier to use products than other people, that were sort of more understandable to a human with eyes and fingers over time. And to this day, Apple's really setting the tone for that, changing a lot of our cell phone experience and now the pad experience, and by presenting it in ways that are basically more convenient. Look, we care about quality. And all my life, music, you got hi-fi, you bought hi-fi systems. The higher the fidelity, the more the fidelity from the low frequencies to the highs. They were all reproduced equally. And then all of a sudden, MP3s came along, and quality was out the door. We didn't care about quality, we cared about the convenience. And that's what the modern computer era, the internet era, is all about. It's how easy and quick can I just get something by almost no action at all.
Was Steve Jobs the guy who did the iPhone, the iPod, the iPad? Would that products have happened without him?
Those products were already happening without Steve Jobs. There were a lot of music players, MP3 music players. Very low amount of songs on expensive media compared to today, or the mini disc from Sony where you had to record your own. And Apple really got the formula right. So really what Steve's contribution is spotting when the formula is right for the masses. And he very often says, not for the techies who understand everything, but for everybody to use, the same as a Walkman. How do you make a device? And there was the iPod. So Steve was very, very responsible for that. Would it have happened without him? Well, Apple has kind of a good culture, but I think back in those days, Steve was certainly the most important person to guarantee. You know, if you have a normal company, there might be 10 important executives, each vying to have certain features on something. It'll come out cluttered with features. We don't do that. That whole idea of simplicity and convenience is it does what I want and not much more. And that's a balance that Apple's very good at finding.
And what was your biggest business or technology mistake in your life?
Yikes. At Apple, I didn't really make many mistakes. And looking back, I said, well, I could have done a couple things differently that would have really actually helped Apple. But I've started other companies since then. And I think one recently was called Wheels of Zeus, and we were going to make a little GPS-based telecommunications device that you could put on a dog, not have to charge it for a year, and it would always tell you if your dog accidentally escaped its boundaries, went where it wasn't supposed to. Or you could put it in a car, or you could put it in your briefcase, and you would always be able to find these things. And it turns out that I wasn't able to accomplish it. Technically, I couldn't make it small enough, cheap enough, long enough, running on the battery.
So it's something that you...
So it's technically, it was unable to achieve the first goal. We took it into different other markets, but...
And is there anything that you still dream about inventing, or that you wish you had done it?
Yes. For sometimes your longtime dreams, eventually in life, you become very associated with it. And one of those is photonics, where the photonics are doing all the logic in a computer. Basically, instead of feeding a battery into a chip, you feed in a light stream, and everything's being done with light, and light stream, a little fiber optic comes out, and there's no electrons involved. And that's, there have been a lot of experiments close to it, but it's not a viable technology yet. I'm also thinking that might apply to a new form of memory. The memory that we make the most of these days is not what you call memory in your computer, not RAM in your computer. It's the NAND flash chips, the type that you put into cameras. They're now popping up in what's called solid-state disks that make your computer a little faster. I'm working for a company, Fusion.io, that has the best formula of all. Put a bunch of them on a board, plug it right into the servers, hundreds of thousands of servers for all the big companies in the world, plug them right into the server and get rid of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment sitting there in racks, you know, because it's so fast, it's not needed. And I'm thinking, one thing is, this is at speed. RAM is fast. This NAND flash, the storage that we're replacing hard disk with, is slower. Hard disks are much slower yet to get access to. Well, I'm thinking, where can you get a type of storage that lasts forever with no power at all, just like your camera cards, but it's as fast as the RAM in our computers? And there are new technologies trying to get there, and they each have problems. And sometimes the problems are because they're trying to push electrons through crystal structures, or they're trying to push oxygen atoms through. Those things are big and heavy. What if you were pushing photons? What if you could store photons? So I'm hoping that some technology gets found by someone someday that photons are being stored in the chip, and you'll now have a chip that's so much smaller, so much faster, and zero power.
You think it's going to happen?
I think it's going to happen. I mean, I'm sure looking for any clues I can ever find to be a part of it.